Growing up playing Nintendo, there was nothing more fun than playing with friends either together or against each other. Nothing creates a stronger bond or starts a bitter fight quite like some two-player NES action. In honor of this, I've put together a top 10 list of two-player games. For this list, I dug a little deeper into my library and got out some of the lesser-known games, so classics like Contra, Bobble and Double Dragon 2 won't be on this list. So let's get to the list. This is Retro Safari's top 10 less popular two-player games. At number 10, we have N.A.R.C. Do you want to know why N.A.R.C is on this list? I'll show you why. That's why. How many games can you name where you can actually see body parts flying away when you blow someone up with a rocket? I've always had this really weird obsession with 90s anti-drug games, and this one takes the cake. You play as a cop, hell-bent on cleaning up the streets from bums, drug dealers, and yes, even killer clowns. One of the most annoying enemies in this game are the dogs. Which brings up the question, why do you get to shoot dogs in so many Nintendo games? That's really strange. One of the things that's funny is when you shoot one with a rocket, it just flips over and bounces on the ground. If you shoot it with a bullet, it turns small and just kind of runs away. I never really understood what that was about. Another really weird thing is that once in a while, the second player's arms go from black to white. This is the same game. I didn't reset it and didn't change anything. I just went from one level to another. I always thought that was really strange too. This game is incredibly difficult and one that I've never managed to beat without the use of Game Genie codes. But boy, it sure is a lot of fun to play with your best friend, and that's why it's on this list. Number 9 is Heavy Barrel. As you can tell, I grew up in the macho era of gaming, so expect a lot of military titles on this list. Most of the conversations I hear about these types of shooter games revolve around Commando and Ikari Warriors. I think that does Heavy Barrel a grave injustice. Unlike Ikari Warriors, where you move like your ass is stuck in molasses, your character in Heavy Barrel is fluid and quick. You also have the added challenge of dealing with the limited supply of grenades and ammo for your special weapons, which makes you take your shots more carefully. The variety of weapons in this game is great, and it feels so awesome when you put the pieces together to assemble Heavy Barrel. When that happens, you hear this, and you know it's time to be a badass and rip your way through your enemies. All in all, a great game and one that definitely deserves to be on this list. I remember getting this game for Christmas from a friend's parent. For some reason they thought I was really into Disney cartoon characters, so they got me this game. Considering I was going hardcore into games like N.A.R.C and Heavy Barrel, I was admittedly skeptical at first. But don't let the title fool you. Chip and Dale is a really entertaining game. You play as either of the two chipmunks as you travel across the world trying to rescue a member of your crew from Fat Cat. Fat Cat, by the way, is an awesome name for a villain in my opinion. Along the way you have to throw boxes, apples, and cement blocks at your enemies while traversing some really great platforming levels. Adding in a second player really ups the difficulty and challenge because unlike most two-player games, you can block and run into your partner. You also can throw objects at them, stunning them and hurting them. Playing this game with two players requires a ton of coordination, and it quickly turns the game from a relatively easy game to one that will push you to your gaming limits. Now I know what you're thinking. A sports game? Gross. But let me tell you, Base Wars is a blast to play, especially when you get to play against a human opponent. As you can tell, it's baseball, but you play with robots. You have 4 different types of robots in the game. Flybots, which float, Mycycles, which are on a wheel, cyborgs who have normal legs, and tanks, which have treads. Each type handles differently in terms of run speed. The pitcher shoots a ball out of a cannon, that's right, out of a friggin' cannon, and you swing to hit it. It works like a regular baseball game until there's a contested play, meaning you're running to second and the second baseman has the ball. That's when this game goes batshit crazy and suddenly you're playing a side brawler where the winner determines the outcome of the play. This is when the game gets really awesome. Smash the hell out of your opponent and then try to steal another base. And yes, different players can have weapons like guns and swords. This is what makes this game great. If you suck at baseball, you can get really good at fighting and turn a single into a home run. Base Wars has started some of the best rivalries and biggest fights among my friends, and it can really be a great addition to your collection. I have to admit I'm a latecomer to Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I picked this game up on a whim at a flea market knowing nothing about it, and I definitely have not regretted it. You play as either Snake or Rattle, and you guessed it, you're a snake. Your goal is to eat the same colored pellets as your snake's color to grow larger. At the end of each level, there's a door that can only be opened by weighing yourself on a scale. Not heavy enough? Eat more pellets. The game has a really crazy variety of enemies, including my favorite, the giant foot. Maybe I'm just scared of snakes, but thinking of having my bare foot slam down on a snake really grosses me out. This game is also interesting because, as you can see, it creates a really great 3D perspective, kind of like Marble Madness. I'm still getting used to it, but you couple the fast gameplay with some of the best game music I have ever heard, and you have a winner in my book. This game often comes out whenever I have friends over. Usually when you think of GYROMITE, you think of that lovable piece of crap Rob, or robotic operating buddy, since this game was designed to work with him. Rob was intended to play second player, but let's be honest, he really sucks at it, and it makes the game impossible to play. But if you have a human second player, you find that GYROMITE is a really interesting co-op experience. Picking a first player game, player 1 controls the doctor who has to disarm bombs while avoiding these dinosaur things called smicks. He can use radishes to distract them, but that's about it. No jumping and no other defense. That's where player 2 comes in. Player 2 controls red and blue gates that you can use to defend yourself. Really quickly you have to learn how to communicate with your partner while playing, or you'll end up trapped and smashed. This is a recent addition to my game nights when I have friends over, but it's quickly becoming a mainstay. You can also add to the challenge by blindfolding the second player, so they just have to react to the first player's voice. All in all, a pretty easy to find game, and one that can be a real hidden gem in your collection. No, I haven't lost my mind. This is still a one-player game. But like GYROMITE, there's a potential for a great player versus player experience in EXCITEBIKE. What you do is go to design mode, have your opponent leave the room, and then you design the track. This is where you get to be a total prick and set up the most difficult track you can think of, adding ramp after ramp after ramp and obstacle after obstacle. The only difficult part about this is trying to remember which letter is which. My personal favorite are the R-type ramps because they are really obnoxious to get over. Once you're done, your opponent re-enters the room and you make a bet. Like you can only fall 3 times or you can't do it in under 4 minutes. Then they go to race the track. I still remember almost breaking my controller when my friend made a track that was nothing but grass. It was absolute torture to get through. This type of outlier gameplay is one of my favorite ways to enjoy Nintendo, and some of the bets I've been forced to do have been downright hilarious. All I can say is I'm very lucky to have grown up before cell phone cameras existed. Next time you're out gaming with your friends, break out a copy of EXCITEBIKE and check out how much fun it'll be to design a track and then watch them fail their way through it. Alright, back to macho gameplay. JACKAL is honestly one of my top 5 all-time NES games. I'm still amazed that it isn't in the talk with games like Contra as one of the all-time best Nintendo games, period. You have the combination of great fast-paced gameplay, great controls, and a truly epic soundtrack. Each level you command a jeep, and you always have a gun that shoots forward so you can strafe as you play. You also have grenades which you can arc over objects, but you can also upgrade to missiles when you rescue special prisoners. Rescuing prisoners adds to the challenge of the game, and you can get extra points and lives when you drop them off of the rescue helicopter. Each level offers a different challenge, and very quickly you find yourself addicted to the gameplay and the thought of beating it. Having a second player really makes this game shine even brighter, since you now have a friend to strategize with and help you play. If you are a Nintendo collector and you don't own a copy of JACKAL, you need to go find a copy immediately. This game is constantly in rotation with my friends when we have game nights. I actually can't think of the last time we've had a game night where this game didn't show up. It's also one of the few games that you can get all the way through relatively easily once you figure out some of the level strategies. All in all, this is an absolutely fantastic game and one that every Nintendo collector needs to own. We're coming to the end of the list. Now let me just say this. I love Guerrilla War. I mean, I friggin' love this game. It is, in my opinion, one of the best games, period. Yes, it is similar to Heavy Barrel, and N.A.R.C Warriors, and Commando, but what this game does differently is it takes that top-down military shooter genre and perfects the formula. You have super fast responsive controls, really interesting weapons. T and F are my favorites. You have vehicles, and some really great level design. It all really adds up to create a spectacular game. Even the explosions in this game kick ass. They're very reminiscent of the Atari explosion sounds. The best part about this game is that they knew it was very difficult, so they let you have infinite continues. So each time you play this game, you know you and your friends are going to taste sweet victory. This is another top 10 all-time title that I think never gets the respect it deserves. If you haven't played Guerrilla War yet, go find it immediately. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Every night we have game nights, Guerrilla War almost always gets played all the way through because it is just so much fun to play. You really get to live out that 1980s macho, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Commando, Terminator style game. All in all, this one definitely is at the top of the all-time, lesser-known two-player games, and one that I think every person should get the chance to play. That's right, the number one lesser-known two-player game on this list is ice hockey. I'm sure you can argue whether this game is not as well known as others, but in my experience, sports games tend to be talked about a lot less amongst my collector friends. So to me, ice hockey is a lesser known title. For whatever reason, this game really hits on all points when it comes to a really fun game. I can't count the number of ice hockey nights I've had over the years with my friends. You can really generate some bitter rivalries, and nothing is more fun than smashing a slap shot with the big character to claim victory. If you've never played or dismissed this title, you are doing yourself a grave disservice. It is simple to pick up, a little tricky to master since you have to control both the team and the goalie, but once you get the idea down, this becomes a perfect two-player competitive game. So that wraps this video up. This is Retro Safari's top 10 lesser-known two-player games. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you like what you see, please subscribe to our channel. We do this for fun and not profit, but it's nice to know people are looking. Thanks again for watching.